Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
We just talked about the ransomware, the malware that is being used to shut down computers across the world. And so it's always important for us to think about what can go wrong with technology. What can happen when it falls into malicious hands? We always talk about this in terms of automobiles because we have self-driving cars that are being pushed on us very hard, very quickly. And it's something that the government wants to happen, so they are literally greasing the skids to make this happen. They want it to happen in the worst way. They will be able to track us and tax us everywhere we go. So they're working hand in glove with the crony capitalists. And we're going to talk in this segment how the government is working hand in glove with the insurance companies in a crony capitalism way as well. But first, let's take a look at the cars. And AP asked yesterday, what is holding back self-driving cars? And their answer is you humans. You need to get out of the way. Isn't this always what we see from the globalists? The absolute contempt for humans in general? And yet, it's going to be humans who are writing this software. And it may be humans who are hijacking these cars. But they think most of you are going to be the little Eloy who are going to be sitting in the back of the car playing with Facebook and Twitter and social media and playing video games. Basically, they're going to be driving Miss Lazy because you don't care enough about your freedom, about your independence, to even care to see where this is leading. But let's take a look at their attitude. I think it's very instructive when we look at what AP is saying. Coming out of Detroit, they say, in just a few years, well-mannered self-driving RoboTaxis will share the road with reckless, law-breaking human drivers. No bias there, is there? Okay, they say this is causing migraines for the people developing the RoboTaxis. Wait a minute. Those people are human. They're going to have human error. And you can have some malicious humans in there as well. Some of them might be wearing government uniforms even. They say a self-driving car would be programmed to drive at the speed limit. Humans routinely exceed it by 10 to 15 miles per hour. Well, let's talk about speed limits. Are they carved in stone? Of course they aren't. I remember when the speed limits on the interstates were dropped 10 to 15 miles per hour, arbitrarily to 55 miles per hour. I talk to my children all the time. Every time we go to an old car show, I say, look at these old cars from the late 50s, early 60s. These roly-poly sleds were what the interstates were designed for when they had speed limits of 65 to 70. And then I remember when they dropped it to 55. They're arbitrary. The purpose of the speed limits is not really your safety. The purpose of speed limits is revenue. You all know that. You know that. But of course, the robot cars will be driving the speed limit for us. They say self-driving cars would not dare to cross a double yellow line, but humans do it all the time. We've seen otherwise, haven't we? Haven't we seen several accidents where Teslas crossed the line or they couldn't find the line and they hit a barrier or something else? I mean, these are the issues that we're faced with. Humans are going to be designing these systems. They're not foolproof, but they can be used malevolently. They say in LA and other places, for instance, there's the California stop where drivers roll through stop signs if there's no traffic crossing. Of course, we wouldn't want to ever have a situation where anybody uses common sense and sees what's going on. And of course, humans make problems. Humans have mistakes, but these things are going to have them as well. They say, although autonomous cars are likely to carry passengers or cargo in limited areas during the next 3 to 5 years, experts say it'll take many years before robotaxis can coexist with humans who are piloting vehicles on side streets, boulevards, and freeways. This is the way it's going to roll out, folks. We've told you before. They're going to do it in the cities because the real purpose is to lock people up in the cities, to limit your mobility in the cities, to control you there. As part of Agenda 21, they don't want you traveling outside of that area, but they're going to exercise this control very strictly. They're already banning cars in many ways in the cities, in London and other places, saying that they're doing it for mission purposes, saying they want to do it for traffic purposes. But they have been, the city planners, the urban planners have had the cars in their cross sites for a very long time. Why? Because it gives you freedom. Why do we have suburbs? Because we could get there with our cars and we weren't trapped in the cities. They want you in their tiny coffin apartments to control you. So what they're going to do is they're going to have robo cars only in certain areas, and they will gradually move that perimeter out until they take over everything. And then they say cars with sensors for driver-assisted systems are already gathering data about all kinds of things, including human driver behavior. Of course they are, because they're going to be spying on you. So experts expect fully autonomous cars to collect, process, and analyze 4 terabytes of data in just 1.5 hours of driving. Yeah, it's going to get much, much larger. They're going to turn everything over. But where will this go wrong? Well, just as we saw today with ransomware, we have an article from the Daily Mail saying high-tech cars risk being hacked and turned into bombs on wheels. And this is coming from a European institute, the Institute of Motor Industry, said hackers could remotely crash cars. Well, of course we know they have. We've seen this demonstrated. These cars are so obedient to the rules, aren't they? Unless you get a hacker that gets this. Experts warn of similar atrocities to those in Paris, Berlin, and Westminster. And that is what they're going to use to push you out of your car, quite frankly. They're going to use that as an excuse. They're going to say, look, we have terrorists who are going to take over, or have already done it now in several incidents, and run pedestrians down. So we need to have full control of your car so we can shut that down or drive it all together. Then once that happens, then they will have people who are your auto technicians who will then need to be vetted by the NSA and other government agencies to make sure that they're not terrorists. But we know how that's going to go down. Meanwhile, we see that Android apps are secretly tracking users by listening to inaudible sounds hidden in their advertisements. This is coming from the UK. This is kind of similar to what they have used to repel teenagers from loitering in parking lots for a long time, putting out what they call mosquito sounds, very high-pitched sounds that only teenagers would be able to hear. Be very annoying to them, but their adult audience, so they wanted to stick around, would not run away. That was, I guess, preferable to using Barry Manilow, which had been also tried in certain areas. They played Barry Manilow, and the teenagers would flee, and they would get the older audience. But what they're doing now in certain apps, and these are apps that are being put out by companies like McDonald's and Krispy Kreme, they are embedding sounds that you cannot hear so that they can coordinate following what you do. And they say this technique can even be used to de-anonymize Tor users. Let me repeat that for all of you out there, because Tor is a very effective tool for people who are trying to keep their privacy. This technique can even be used to de-anonymize Tor users. It is a constant back and forth war to keep our privacy. And they say this is leaving open doors for advertisers to use this. It only works at the moment, they say, when these particular apps are running. But of course, how is the government using it? Well, we know that the government has probably already got these types of things embedded in your computers. And when we look at our cars and how they're going to be using and tracking this information about how we drive, because that'll be the first thing that they will do. They'll put these black boxes to record everything about how you drive. They'll base your insurance rates on that to drive you off of the road as a human driver, to make it unaffordable. We already see a bill being introduced in New York to let police scan your cell phone after a crash. And what they would do is they call this a textalyer, like a breathalyzer. They would be able to pull this over, use software to detect whether or not you have been swiping or typing. I say, don't worry, we won't be able to read any of your personal content. Yeah, right. And of course, this is being pushed by someone who is now an advocate against distracted driving. He lost his 19-year-old son, Evan, 6 years ago. So now he is doing this to give meaning to his life. And I have to say, I have seen this so many times. I'm sorry that he lost his child. I know that this can be a hazard. But please stop doing this, folks. If you have a child who dies in a bathtub, please don't try to ban bathtubs for the rest of us. That's what we're saying about measles. Things happen in life. You can never be fully safe. You can't make the world fireproof. You can't make it accident-proof. And as the ACLU points out, there is absolutely no guarantee that a device like this would be able to scan a phone without collecting private information that is on your phone. And there's no way, of course, that they can also ensure accuracy. This may give them a false positive, saying that you are actually texting on your phone when in reality you are not. Now, the brief amount of time that we've got, and we'll cover this when we come back, they have the Senate is now saying that they think they might be able to do something with Obamacare in August. Did they not know that we wanted something done with Obamacare? We had an election where we gave the House a majority to fix Obamacare. Then we gave the Republicans a majority in the Senate to fix Obamacare. Then we elected a president to fix Obamacare. Then they passed a bill in the House to fix Obamacare. And now the Senate says, we should take a look at something to fix Obamacare, but we're not going to use what the House has. Maybe we'll get it but we can't be rushed. Okay, stay with us. We'll be right back.
The reason Infowars Life has 5-star ratings on major third-party sites is because I want products I'm going to use for my family. I take this, my family takes this, and then it funds the operation with the most hardcore, truthful information you're going to find anywhere. So what you find in our news is the same thing you find in our products at InfowarsLife.com.
If I ever forget to take them, I have a noticeable difference. I don't feel good. The nascent iodine is one of the ones that was life-changing for me.
Yeah, I actually have just run out of my super female. I had a few bottles at my house, and I've been taking it again, hitting the gym once again. Very exciting, feeling great, looking good. So, and I know my hair is luxurious once again. So obviously the super female is amazing. I love it.
Nascent iodine is essential. Survival Shield X2. If there's one product that I would say is life-changing that I would suggest, it's Nascent iodine Survival Shield X2. It's got a 5-star rating.
It's a win-win. InfowarsLife.com.